Greetings, this is going to be a health video part 2, so I will link in the description of this video and in the comment section just so it's easier to find the part 1 of this video. In part 1 I talked about my diagnosis of having a hiatal hernia, which is where part of your stomach is actually stuck in your esophagus. That's what a hernia is whenever an organ, a body part is stuck in another area. And then I went on and I talked about MRT food testing, some supplements that I personally like to take to kind of help me with all of that and whatnot. Okay, so first of all, disclaimer, I'm not a health professional, I'm not a medical professional. Please see a medical professional for whatever it is that you are dealing with. However, I'm allowed to share my experience. And so I'm sharing my experience so that maybe some of the products that have helped me and some of my protocols that have helped me could potentially guide you to go to a healthcare professional so that you could maybe, see if these things may work for you. Okay, so ever since my first endoscopy, I had to have a couple of them, by the way. Ever since my first endoscopy a few months ago, I had a horrible burning tongue sensation. Now, my throat was just burning, like it felt basically like all my taste buds were burned off. Now, whenever I was brushing my teeth, I couldn't even spit. I couldn't even form, oh my gosh, saliva and make that, the muscles that work for spitting wouldn't work. And it was so painful. It was so painful to the point where I'd actually spit out some blood every single time, just a little bit. And it only happened when I was trying to make that spitting sensation. I went to the dentist. I asked them, because I had my regular yearly teeth cleaning, and asked for different things to do. They told me xylitol gum and baking soda, and of course not Arm & Hammer, but actual, I think it's Red Mills is what I'm using, but using a legit nice baking soda, gargling with that. I tried that. I tried a few different things. I talked to the doctor who did my endoscopy. I asked the nurse's office there, asked all these people, and they're like, oh yeah, that happens for some people. It's just a part of it, your body reacting either to the anesthesia or the procedure, etc., etc. It should get better. Well, after a few months, it wasn't getting better, or 2.5 months, wasn't getting better. And I had tried all these different things. It wasn't even getting slightly better. I mean, not even in the slightest. And my whole tongue, you can see that's healing now. All my taste buds were burned off of it. Literally behind that line, every single taste bud was just burned, just completely burned, obliterated. And my tongue had huge, ulcers all over it. And this is ever since the first endoscopy. And then the second one actually made it slightly worse, and that was a couple weeks after the first one. And then after that one, it was just I was great, I'm never gonna taste things again. My tongue's gonna be in this awful place. Anywho, I really love homeopathy, and I know some people are like, oh, naturopaths are quacks, this, that, and the other. Well, personally, acupuncture has helped me with my allergies more than anything else, and environmental and food sensitivities, and homeopathy has helped me with hormonal things. It's helped me with the burning tongue. I'll get to that in a moment. It's helped me with skin things. It's helped me with mood. Hormonal stuff mostly, and hair loss. It helped me with an egg food sensitivity. I was slightly reactive to eating eggs a couple years ago, and I had a homeopath have me take a few different mixes of things, and sulfur was one of them. And after 2.5 weeks, I started reintroducing egg into my diet, and my food sensitivity went away to egg, and so I was no longer reactive to food, to egg. So that was pretty crazy. So ever since I've had these success stories with homeopathy, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try some homeopathy for this. Now, I did my own research, and again, this is where I say, please go to a medical health professional. I am planning on embarking on an education in this further, but just sharing from my own personal experience, because I kid you not, you guys, within 12 hours, I bought these 2 homeopathies, the little Boiron. People are like, oh, those are just sugar pills. No, when your tongue is on fire for months and nothing is changing, and you've tried the baking soda gargle multiple times a day, you've tried chewing xylitol, you've tried doing all the different things that everyone says, you've tried, I tried so much stuff. Literally, just 1 dose of both of these, taken 2 hours apart. I did do the 200 CK You can see the 200 on there, not the 30. I did the 200, which is stronger, but it actually has less in it because less is more, and like cures like in homeopathy. So I did Mercurius solibus, solute solibus, basically homeopathic mercury, and homeopathic calendula. So calendula and Merc Sol is how people know it, MERCSOL. So I did 5 pellets of Merc Sol. 2 hours later, 5 pellets of calendula. Woke up the next morning and my tongue was like 35-40% better. I was appalled. I was amazed. So I did the 2 things again. I took the Merc Sol first, and then 2 hours later, I took the calendula. Now, I put the tablets under my tongue. I let them dissolve. I don't take caffeine anyway, but if you are someone who drinks caffeine, then just make sure, ideally you don't want to whenever you're using homeopathy, because it is seen as it's less effective, and you also don't want to touch the pellets. You want to just dispense them into the lid, and then you put them under your tongue, like so. So after 3 days, my burning tongue was completely cured. Completely cured. Completely, entirely. And my tongue, and as you can see, you can hardly see that line. And this wasn't even a week ago. This was not even a week ago that I started this protocol. So for people who think that homeopathy and naturopaths are quacks, there are people like me, and I have seen some people ever since having an endoscopy or a dental surgery have had burning tongue syndrome for years. So if this can help anyone to schedule an appointment with a naturopath, a homeopath, and see if these 2 things might be helpful for them, then, I am so glad that I can help that. The second thing I wanted to address was the hiatal hernia. So it was diagnosed in my first endoscopy that I had a hiatal hernia. Now, I went to my chiropractor, who's amazing, and he actually manipulated my stomach out of my esophagus. I was able to relax enough, and he was able to get under my rib cage, feel where the differentiation was, and literally when he pushed it down, we could literally hear my stomach part pop out of my esophagus, and I felt the weirdest sensation. It was the most painful thing, and I have a very high pain tolerance, you guys, super high pain tolerance. I never felt a more painful sensation than that sensation, and yet it disappeared within, I only felt the pain for less than a minute. And after that minute, my stomach was like, and made some like weird noises, and I went to take a deep breath and I could breathe. Now, I had been diagnosed with asthma at a young age, and I had always had like weird breathing problems and just different things. And it always literally just felt like something was stuck in my thymus. Like it was like something stuck in my chest cavity. So, the first endoscopy showed the hiatal hernia, and I went to see my chiropractor a week after that, and he did the manipulation. And then it was 1 week after that that I had my actual procedure on my esophagus, and the doctor was like, you don't have the hiatal hernia anymore. And so I can actually say it was confirmed, doctor confirmed, that my hernia was gone after my chiropractor did the manipulation. Now, I will say it is a manipulation that not many chiropractors do, according to just my research that I've done online. It seems like you definitely want to make sure that you go to someone who is well versed in it. I will say Dr. Joran Whitley with Oklahoma Chiropractic is who I go to, and literally fantastic. Like, I would say if someone has a hiatal hernia, to buy a plane ticket and have an appointment with him and see if he can help you out, because people do crazy surgeries for it and never have the things healed, etc., etc. And I just have to say, since that experience, I have not had the raspiness in my throat. I've not been experiencing GERD or any of that. I strongly believe that I was only experiencing the GERD because part of my stomach was stuck in my esophagus. So it makes sense that, if part of your stomach is stuck in your esophagus, then all the food you're eating is going to be affecting your esophagus and creating some acid reflux there. And my acid reflux was silent. The only reason that I could tell was A, because of the endoscopy, and B, because of my food sensitivities and my food allergies. And my food allergies wouldn't even show up on my food allergy tests, but whenever I would have something, like I've had anaphylactic shock multiple times, and it's like, okay, it makes sense if A, there is, gut issues, so things are leaking out of your gut and getting into your bloodstream that shouldn't be, then your body, your immune system is going to react to that. But especially if part of your stomach is stuck in your esophagus and, food and molecules are being in places that they shouldn't really be staying and accumulating. So these are things that I just want to say for people with that. I talked about these supplements previously, but I just want to say this is a health thing, so just sharing. But my skin has cleared up. My hair is no longer falling out. It's grown a lot, and my nails are constantly growing. I have to file them every single week. Yes, these are my own nails. I do not do fake nails. I just do the same gold color because it's just nice and simple that way. But I have to file them every week, and I file them like good. Like I file them down. Like every Sunday when I file them, I'm like, man, they're so much shorter than I really wanted them to be. I want them to be longer. But I just have to say, these supplements are really helping. Next thing is acupuncture. I'm a huge advocate for acupuncture. It's definitely helped me a lot with my food sensitivities. A lot. Vitamin D3 and K2. I take this one by Seeking Health, although I have done the liquid drops of it, and I think I kind of prefer the liquid drops, but I don't know. I have to get my vitamin D levels. I'm going to do another blood panel test here in a couple weeks, so I will maybe do a health part 3 and speak about that. But Equilib, again, I'm not sponsored. I'm just sharing my own personal health journey because I can do that. So why I love Equilib so much as my multivitamin is because it literally has everything you could possibly need in it. It's so complete, and things are methylated, does that make sense? And chelated. It has methylfolate in it that is in the right form that you want it in, molybdenum, chromium, magnesium, copper, selenium, zinc, iodine, phosphorus, iron, biotin, B12, thiamine, B1, which a lot of people are deficient in, niacin by niacinamide, which is so great for you, vitamin A, C, D, A, B, C, D, E. If there's a vitamin F, I'm sure it'd be in here. Potassium, glutamine, choline. It just has ginkgo biloba. It has everything that you really could need in it. It's incredible. And like I said, the form, all of them are chelated. So the thing is with most vitamins is when you take them, they're not even absorbable in the body. And this is highly absorbable. And it was created for the central nervous system. So anyone who has, vagus nerve damage, anyone who's had any brain damage, anyone who has nervous system disorders or anything autoimmune, this is literally the most incredible multivitamin that I feel like a person could take. In my experience, it has been so amazing. So it's a complete profile of amino acids, chelated minerals, antioxidants, and necessary vitamins, and it has everything in it. Equilib. Now, I also am a huge advocate of colostrum, and I take mine by Ancestral Supplements. So this is known as, the first milk, so to speak. It is grass-fed, grass-finished from New Zealand, free of GMOs, hormones, etc., etc. And because it's grass-fed, grass-finished, me, who is corn sensitive, I have no reaction to it at all in any way, shape, or form. So even though it is bovine colostrum, like I said, grass-fed, grass-finished, non-GMO, pesticide, hormone, no fillers, no flow agents, all of that stuff. So even when my allergies were really, really, really bad from my anaphylactic reaction that led me to doing the first health video that I posted on here, and I could just react from smelling something, which thank goodness I'm not that way anymore. But I will say I've been able to heal this quickly in just a couple months because of my protocol. So that is acupuncture, homeopathy, vitamin D3 and K2. Even though this has vitamin D in it, I am taking very high amounts of vitamin D because I don't know, something with my genes, I just don't absorb vitamin D3 that much. So that is something where you absolutely need to get a blood panel test done or see what your vitamin D levels are, because you want to make sure that you are supplementing the right amount, or that you even have to supplement. Although I will say for most people, we tend to have to supplement because our food these days just is not full of what it used to be. And even though I'm someone who spends a lot of time outdoors, a lot of time in the sun, I mean, in the warm months, I'm literally outside like 8 hours a day. My vitamin D levels were still like 30, which is like super low. And people can have food sensitivities just because their vitamin D level isn't, up to par, so to speak. So those are other things to kind of note. I used to be someone who always took allergy medication, took my inhaler, all these things. I'm not saying that you can do this, but I'm just saying for me, I don't take any of that anymore. I do homeopathy, and there are different homeopathies for allergies, which I have not started them at all this year. And I will say all the things are blooming that I'm technically super allergic to, although that's the next thing that I want to touch down on is my own, and again, I'm only sharing my own personal experience, but I just do kind of my own immunotherapy, because all allergy shots is dosing someone with small amounts of what they're allergic to. Literally, that's all immunotherapy is dosing someone in their body with something that they're highly allergic to. Obviously, I'm not recommending anything. I'm just sharing my own experience. I always carry Benadryl with me, liquid Benadryl, so it's immediate onset effect. I have 2 EpiPens. I always keep one in my car, one on me, so I'm always safe in that realm. Although I will say for me personally, in my experience with anaphylactic shock in the ER, when they gave me Epi the first time, I had a very adverse reaction to it and my heart rate shot through the roof and I started seizing. So I personally just prefer liquid Benadryl and breath work and my harp, but I don't always have my harp with me. Although, getting back to what I was getting to, is especially for people who have environmental allergies, it is so key to get into first of all, I do a fast 3 days a month. I'm upping that to 5 days a month starting this month, and I'm going to do it every 3 weeks, every 3 to 4 weeks, fasting for 5 days. Now, people are like, what do you have during those 5 days? Literally just water and a quality sea salt. Now, I do a half teaspoon of that sea salt in the morning and 32 ounces of water, and then I put another half teaspoon in like a gallon jug that I drink throughout the day. Now I know some people, say like dry fasting, this, that, and the other. For me and how active I am and everything that I do, water fasting works for me. So again, I don't take my vitamins whenever I do my 5-day or 3-day fast, and I did start by intermittent fasting, and I do try an intermittent fast because this helps allergies so much, so much. So the cool thing about fasting for over 24 hours, preferably 48 hours to hour 72, so between day 2 and day 3, which is why a 3-day fast is ideal for the average person to work up to, of course. Check out with all of your professionals, health professionals, the best protocol for you to get into that. Our body goes into a state called autophagy. And when our body is in autophagy, our cells eat the unhealthy cells in our body. And Dr. Berg on YouTube talks about this a lot. He has so many cool cases of like a guy who had stage 4 colon cancer, and within 4 months his cancer is completely gone because he just did fasting and a bunch of vitamins, which all the vitamins he takes are literally in these supplements. And he actually had another person on there who had kidney cancer, and same thing. His cancer completely went away because of fasting. So when the body goes into autophagy, it literally eats the bad cells. Now this also works for allergies, for mast cells, because when you have an allergic reaction to something, your body gets smarter and smarter at outing that thing, which is why you get more sensitive to it, which can make it a lot more deadly, and it can make it a lot more dangerous for you after you experience anaphylactic shock to then go out into the world. The next time your immune system senses that thing, it's going to go on hyper alert and freak gap. So this is why autophagy is so important, because everyone has a bucket with their immune system. And when the bucket is full and it goes overboard, that's when the immune reaction is set off. And that's why sometimes people can be exposed to an allergen but not really have an effect. And then another time they can be exposed to it, and because of stress or because of eating more inflammatory foods, just whatever is going on in their life, whatever is going on in the environment, if their inflammation is high, then that can set off a trigger and it can make them have an anaphylactic reaction where they previously didn't. Now, this is why autophagy is so important, because when you put the body into autophagy, it eats those mast cells that have the memory of those things. So it can actually lessen, and it does, there's lots of science on this, it can lessen the reaction to things. Again, always know your own body, always know your own triggers, and be safe. Please be safe. Always have your Benadryl, your EpiPen, you know, whatever it is that helps you in those cases. And always seek your health professional before getting into any new dietary changes. However, sharing from my experience, 1, the chiropractor got rid of my hiatal hernia, which was amazing. 2, calendula and Merck Sol homeopathy literally diminished my burning tongue sensation from dental and endoscopy surgeries within 3 days. 3 days, literally taking 5 pills. I took 5 pills in the morning, 5 pills in the afternoon, and 5 pills at night, 2 hours apart on everything. So I was very, very, very diligent. Now, I think day 4, I still did the calendula. Yeah, I still did the calendula. I just did 5 pills in the afternoon. And as soon as that kind of like sped up the healing on my tongue, and I didn't do Merck Sol on day 4. I only did 3 days of Merck Sol, but everyone's going to be different. So again, check with a naturopath in your area for all of that. The other things I wanted to say were, I don't wake up with a like raspy voice anymore, which can be like a GERD symptom, things like that. Just certain things that I was experiencing. I have a lot more energy. I can go a lot further with mileage. Like I did 8 miles the other day, and I'm not a runner. I'm not a cardio person at all. And I don't feel the asthmatic sensations that I used to feel. I don't wheeze anymore. I don't have any chest tightness. Any of the things that I used to feel that I was told was just asthma, that I'm pretty certain was actually the hiatal hernia, and also just food sensitivities that I'm, again, healing slowly through exposure by spending time in nature every single day, deep breathing exercises, fasting so that my immune bucket can cope with the exposure to the allergens by being outside. So I really like slacklining, which is, you know, where you tie a rope between 2 trees and you tightrope walk across. And one of my favorite things about slacklining is it forces you to be in a meditative, quiet space. And so I'm really hyper aware of my breathing, and it allows me to focus on my breath work. And my biggest allergies in the world, my biggest allergies are to a couple types of trees that we have here where I live. And by setting up my slackline in between these trees, literally like touching the tree will set my skin off in a rash. So again, I'm not saying that this is smart for anyone else to do, but I know myself, and by slacklining multiple days a week and by walking in nature every single day and exposing myself to the things that I'm allergic to every day in small amounts or in gradually larger amounts, making sure that I have all my vitamins that I need, you know, getting in my acupuncture and doing that fast, it's retraining my immune system. And I have to say, like, my skin, my health, everything is showing for it. So this is my health part 2, and I love you guys, and hopefully it helps anyone that has any issues with allergies or with burning tongue sensation or anything else that they're wanting to get looked at. Bless you.